All right, well, good afternoon. It is section IN2, linear inequalities. And what I want you to do is go ahead and copy down this information first. So hit pause and write this down, and we'll discuss more about what these inequalities refer to. All right, so let's first look at what an inequality is. An inequality is going back to our less than, greater than signs, but it can also mean that it is less than or equal to, or it can be greater than or equal to. That's what this little line below it is representing. Solving inequalities follow the exact same rules as solving equations, except when you multiply or divide by a negative number, the inequality will have to be reversed. Okay, so you're going to then flip them. So instead of less than, it would then have to be turned into greater than. And if it was less than or equal to, it'd have to be greater than or equal to, or vice versa. So let's first look at this equation. This is what we did yesterday. So you're going to have to subtract a 24 or add a negative 24 to both sides. And when you do that, you get 2w, which equals then a positive 10. Then from here, you would divide by the number that's with the variable. And then we get w equals 10 divided by 2 is 5. And you can always plug that in, and 2 times 5 equals 10, and 10 plus 24, does it equal 34? Yes, it does. So now let's look at my inequality. You do it the exact same way. Subtract a negative, or add a negative 24 to both sides. So when you do that, you get 2w. You then need to bring down my less than sign, and this is now 10. Now you're going to divide both sides by 2, and then you get w is less than 5. Now what you do to plug it in up here is you simply need to take a number that is less than 5. Because w, the value of the variable, says it has to be less than 5. So let's choose a number that's easy to work with. Let's say 0. 0 is less than 5. So 0 times 2 equals 0. And 0 plus 24, is it less than 34? Yes, 24 is less than 34. Okay, so that is what an inequality does. So let's look at the next slide. I want you to go ahead and hit pause and solve this. And yes, that is an x, a variable. So go ahead and solve that. So the first thing you're going to do, since it's multiplying by x, you have to divide by that same number, which is negative 3. And we get x. Now, if we recall on the back slide, it says if you divide or multiply by a negative number, you have to do the reverse of this. So now it's going to be less than or equal to, and then 12 divided by negative 3 is negative 4. So if we take a number that is less than or equal to negative 4, so it's got to be less than that or equal to, so we can use negative 4 in this case if we like, which if we plug negative 4 into this, negative times a negative is a positive, and it's 12. So is 12 greater than or equal to 12? Yeah, it's equal to it. So then it works. If we choose another letter or number, it will make maybe a little more sense as to why we have to flip the inequality sign. So let's try negative 5. So if we put negative 5 in here, we get 15. So is 15 greater than or equal to 12? Yes, it is. Okay. If we would have had this as a greater than, then we'd have to choose a number larger than negative 4, which let's say 0, and 0 times negative 3 is 0. 0 is not greater than or equal to 12. It's less than. So you can see why you have to change this sign. I want you to go ahead and hit pause and solve this. This does say y divided by negative 5 plus 3 is greater than negative 7. So go ahead and do that. All right, for this particular problem, again, since we are starting with a number that's not with the variable, we will have to subtract or add a -3 to both sides, and we end up getting y over -5, or divided by -5, is greater than, and a negative plus a negative, okay, is going to be a negative. And so like signs we add, sign stays the same, so we get -10. And now we are going to have to get rid of this -5. And to get rid of that, since it says that we are dividing, we do the opposite. So we multiply by -5 to both sides. Probably putting a dot would be more applicable since we're working with variables. Now, some of you are saying, well, why can you multiply by this? This is going to give me a positive 25. Well, here's what you have to recall. When we deal with fractions, because this is set up as a fraction, we put it over 1. And then we can cross reduce. -5 goes into -5 once. And then we end up getting 1 times y is y, and 1 times 1 is 1, and y divided by 1 is y. So that's why we can get y by itself. Now, here's the other thing. We did multiply by a -5, so we've got to change our sign to less than. And then this answer, negative times a negative is a positive, so we get 50 for an answer. So y is less than 50. So we've got to find a number that's less than 50, which let's try 0. So we plug 0 in, and 0 divided by -5 is 0. So 0 plus 3 is 3. So is 3 greater than -7? Yes, it is. Let's look at our next one, and I'll let you hit pause and solve this. So again, we start with our number that is by itself on the side with a variable. So we have to add a -8 to both sides. And we get subtract 4a, which is the same thing as a -4a. Remember, we can change this to addition, opposite of the second number. So when it's subtracting a +4, it's the same thing as adding a -4. So we have to still bring down that negative sign. Less than or equal to, and then we have positive adding a negative, so we're going to subtract, and we get 16, and it's positive. So now we're going to, since it's multiplying, divide by the -4 to both sides, and we get a. Since we divided by a negative, we have to switch our sign to now greater than or equal to, and then this would be -4. And you can plug it in again and check. We're looking for a number that is greater than or equal to -4. Well, a number greater than -4 would be 0. We always like to use 1s and 0s if possible. So we can plug 0 in, and -4 times 0 is 0, and 8 plus 0, or we can look at it as 8 minus 0 if we go back to the original equation. And is 8 less than or equal to 24? It absolutely is. So again, take notes on this. If you have any questions, please bring those to class tomorrow, and we will talk about this further. Hopefully you have a great evening, and we will see you tomorrow.